Hello again. I just finished doing a short video on why the graphs of cosecant and secant look the way they do, and I want to do one more little short hitter on why the graphs of tangent and cotangent look the way they do. So on your screen right now, you see a graph of tangent, and if you haven't seen it before, you might be saying, well, that's kind of strange. How does that even make sense from what we already know? Well, let's talk about it. So we know tangent is equal to sine over cosine. That's one way you can think of tangent. And so if I overlay my graph of sine, I'm going to do sine first. If I overlay the graph of sine, what do you notice? Well, when sine is 0, the tangent is also 0, which makes sense, because if we have 0 over anything, then that means it's going to be 0, right? So the zeros of the sine function are going to be the zeros of the tangent function. But how about cosine? If I overlay cosine onto this graph, what happens at those zeros? Well, cosine is in the denominator, so if I have anything over 0, all of a sudden that becomes an asymptote. So that's why when we look at the graph of tangent, we have these smaller periods. So the period is just going to be pi. And if you think of quadrants, so 0 to pi over 2, that's in quadrant 1. So tangent's positive. Pi over 2 to pi, quadrant 2, it's negative. Quadrant 3, back to being positive, and so on, that same kind of cycle. Okay? So that's why the graph of tangent looks the way it does. And cotangent works exactly the same way. So if you look at cotangent, there's cotangent. And again, if I overlay the graph of sine, this time, remember, cotangent is cosine over sine. So now the zeros of sine become our asymptotes. And then if I overlay the graph of cosine, the zeros of cosine, since it's in the numerator now, the zeros of cosine are my zeros. So if I take my asymptotes back off again, and I think of in terms of quadrants, so again, my first quadrant, I know cotangent is positive. Second quadrant, whoops, I got the wrong one, I apologize. Let me bring cotangent back up, the wrong one. First quadrant, cotangent is positive. Second quadrant is negative. Third quadrant, positive again. Fourth quadrant, negative. And that's your graph of cotangent. So again, just a quick little one on, I hope this helped you see why the shapes of the graphs are what they are. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you want to see some more. I'll be doing some videos on actually graphing cosecants and secants and cotangents and tangents. So if you want to see those, feel free to subscribe. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you next time.